Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back on the updates 1.83 dev server and we're having a look at the PR123K A-11. Now this is one of the new premium vehicles that is here for the Soviets, rank 1 2.0, and if we go to the fleet tree, there we go, you can see it here. Now you may recognize this name, that's because we already have a few machines which have very similar names. So we already have the Project 123K and the Project 123BIS. Well, this is the A-11, and what makes different from this version, the consomolets in the tree, is that the version that we have as a premium is a pseudo or actual hydrofoil, as you can see. So it actually lifts the front of the ship out of the water and means that you glide across the water faster, as you can tell by the speed here, 96 kilometers an hour compared to 83 kilometers an hour. Gives it a decent amount. But before we get into the ship, I just want to show you something. One of the things that they actually added to the decorators is the fact that the helmets now are in a different part of it, and they've added a bunch of new helmets. So, you know, the MLE French one, the infantry helmet M26, and they've also added a tank helmet Italy. So all of them are now in their little decorator area. Whether these were in before or after the patch, what they have changed is they've given them a little area in the decorators. So yeah, I just thought it would be cool just to let you know about that. Anyway, back to the PR123K A-11. If we look at the general armaments of it, it's not that impressive. Two 14.5mm KPV machine guns. These are probably the best machine guns in ships that I've seen so far or have had the pleasure to use. They are insanely good. Very good fire rate, 14.5mm, have a lot of penetration behind them in the form of the universal 31mm, 27 or 45 when it comes to the APIT. I personally like APIT over the others, and it also has access to depth charges, but with the 14.5s you get a lot of ammo in a clip. You also get a very high fire rate, and if you've ever used any of the Soviet machines, so something like, let's see, which one was I mainly using? Let's have a look. I can't find it exactly right now, but it's basically this one, the PR191M. It has two dual 14.5mm machine guns on it, and it has them in this little area here and in this little area here. And what you actually find is you actually let the 85 do its work, and then you use the KPVs as the primary in order to attack everything. Now just put them on a 2.0. Yes, they are on the back of the ship, so we are in a scenario where we will have to angle the ship to be able to use the KPVs, but we're already angling it to use the torpedoes. So at least, you know, it works together in good unison. There is no armor protection for this. It is your bog standard hydrofoil PT boat. Then you have the X-ray, you have two large engines instead of the tri-engine that we are so familiar with. You have a random piece of ammunition in the front of the ship, so just don't get hit in there, and if you do, well, unlucky, and you only do have a crew of 7. So the survivability of this machine is incredibly low. You also have a bunch of fuel tanks in the back, some depth charges, obviously the KPVs, but yeah, don't get hung up on the survivability. The survivability of this is not going to be great. But as a hydrofoil, which is at 2.0 with 96 kilometers an hour of speed behind it, you should be able to move around the map with a lot of speed, so you need to use that as your defense instead of the amount of crew you have or the armor you have, since both are pretty much non-existent. No new camouflage, which is very sad to see. Would have been lovely to see a new camouflage. And then another thing is, since it is a premium, you get all of these modifications for free. You don't have to worry about them in the slightest, and the only thing you really have to worry about is the repair cost, which at 2,000 silver lions is absolutely nothing. You'll easily make that back. Since it's a rank 1, it's kind of annoying, since we do have a rank 2, which is 2.0. Would have been lovely to see this as a rank 2, but then again, it would have been higher in price in Golden Eagles, and I personally, the reason why it would be nicer to be rank 2 would be because then you can use it in a capacity to research rank 3, 2, and 1 instead of just rank 1 and 2 efficiently. But, you know, what are you going to do? Sometimes you just have to bite the bullet, get a machine that's going to be good at rank 1 and rank 2, and use it into rank 2. So let's get into a test sail. let's show you what this thing is all about with its KPV machine guns. If you haven't ever used these KPV machine guns, they will just wreck everything. And as you can see, the acceleration on this machine is incredibly good, and you can now see the hydrofoil come into play. It's lifted the front part of the boat out of the water, meaning that it's gliding on the lower parts, and what that means is a lot of the actual shooting from many ships will actually be put off by the fact that this is a hydrofoil. Now, if you have never dealt with the KPVs before, one of the issues that it does kind of suffer with this hydrofoil is the fact that because the front is up in the front, it does take you a little bit of time to be able to actually get the KPVs set up and sorted, and there you go, doing already 40% damage from one clip of 100 rounds, and that wasn't even 100 rounds where I was even that accurate on. So if we just, there we go, sort it out, you can just see peppering the whole ship, just taking out people very, very quickly. Oh dear, turn, yep, we're good. So, ooh, as you slow down, of course, more of your ship will go into the water, meaning that you'll lose some of the nice things about being a hydrofoil. One of the issues with this compared to the turreted KPVs is something you may be seeing. This lad is incredibly slow at turning them. He needs to get himself some spinach, but once he has got them turned, you can see that he's able to do a lot of damage with them when he actually feels like shooting. So taking out ships with the KPVs I'm not too worried about, especially while going at 90 kilometers an hour around the battlefield. This to me is going to be something that is used to cap a lot of points. Actually no, let's try and depth charge this person. It's also turned really well because it's a hydrofoil, so that's lovely to have. Bing bang, come on, bish bash bosh. There we go. That should blow it up. Whee! But yeah, because it's a hydrofoil, you can already see it turns incredibly well in the water. Basically, it just has really good maneuverability. It has really good speed behind it, and it has a very, very lazy guy on 2 KPVs. Don't see the KPVs as something to really write home about, apart from the fact that they do a lot of damage. It's unfortunate that on this machine here we have a very... Okay, I only fired one once, but that's fine. One of the issues with the KPVs on this, it seems, is that it is incredibly slow to turn, and with a fast vehicle you want to have fast guns at the same time. So the main killing power in this is definitely going to be its speed and the fact that it has the torpedoes. And obviously in arcade, which is the game mode I mainly play in when it comes to ships, speed is a lot, and also you're able to replenish your torpedoes, so they can make a larger difference in the game. And I think that's exactly how it should be for the foreseeable future. I like the idea of having replenishable stuff like torpedoes, because otherwise it just becomes a shooting match between who has the more guns, and obviously machines like this, the hydrofoil, would lose out pretty quickly in games like that. So as you can see, once again, KPVs doing 50% of the damage now that we actually landed all of them, and that's just one single clip of the default belt, showing how good the KPVs are, is the best way I can put it. You can pepper pretty much everything, you can be able to hit everything as you go along, and at the same time this is all at 96 kilometers an hour, so the guns themselves are incredibly stable, and you're able just to pretty much bish bash bosh anything that you see. The only problem is of course the fact that because the front is out of the water, then you do have to aim slightly, well, you will understand that the gun depression isn't great on the KPVs, so you will be sat in a position where sometimes you won't be able to shoot, especially if you're angled at about 10 degrees from the front and somebody is in front of you. Your guns will necessarily have to aim upwards in that regard. Now, what is nice is the elevation doesn't take much time at all, so that is something to look forward to with the KPVs. Maybe see them more as an anti-air idea, but to be honest, I think at 2.0 the KPVs should absolutely wreck house. I suppose the greatest comparison I can make is the G5. So the G5 in the tree, it has a D-shack, it has a very good machine gun on it, but that machine gun doesn't have a lot of rounds. And what that means is you can do a lot of damage to a ship, but it's very hard to one-shot it with one round of clip. And that's basically what I'm seeing with this KPV. It's doing a hell of a lot of damage, you know, setting stuff on fire, destroying components, killing the majority of the crew, but what it isn't doing is it's not one-shotting, or sorry, it's not one-belting a, a ship. So with that said, we're actually turning faster than the guns are turning here, which is interesting to see. But yeah, with that said, it means that you are going to have to reload to kill a ship. You may have to engage your torpedoes, something that you might not want to do. You want to save them for larger ships, so these are all considerations that you have to take into account while you are using this thing. But if you want to get your hands on a hydrofoil and you don't want to have to research one for crazy amounts, this is definitely the way to go. And it will teach you the general playstyle of the hydrofoil and also how it differs compared to other ships around the same BR. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.